Hello and welcome to YouTube channel Health You, the place where our mission is not only to motivate you but help you to move on to the brighter side of your health. I am your host physiotherapist Meghna Dave. I am a physiotherapist, a neuro rehab physiotherapist as well as the founder of Health You Rehab. Now, our mission through this channel is to provide you information, education and to motivate you so that you can take adequate steps for your health and well-being. Now, a very big aspect of our life is determined by the aspirations that we have got. Our dreams, our goals. It could be professional, it could be personal, it could be relationship based, it could be financial based, right? But all of them required consistency and a lot of hard work. Now, where does we get this energy of hard work? Through our health. That's why our health is a very integral part of our life, because if we are healthy, then only we can take those actions, those steps that are required to achieve our goal. Now, if we differentiate the lives of people who are successful with the people who are not so successful, one thing which is very commonly seen is the people who are successful value their time a lot. Their choices are determined by the long term and more important aspect of their life rather than making choices which are not going to benefit the person from a long term perspective. That's why the productivity choices that they make are absolutely different and unique when it comes to successful people. If you also see people on a regular basis and you ask them why they are not able to take the actions that they are willing to take to stay healthy, majority of them will say that I don't find time to do that. It could be exercising, it could be meditation, or it could be any practices you name so. And all of us are guilty of giving up our health priorities over the urgencies, immediates that we have to face on our day-to-day life. That's why staying productive is one of the key factor with which you can find adequate time or else you can put adequate efforts for your health and well-being, because eventually our goal is to work towards those life aspirations so that we can feel fulfilled at the end of our life. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to review this book called as 4-Hour Workweek, which is a very famous book on productivity written by Tim Ferriss. He shares a very simple formula, an executable formula for us to work towards our time management strategies. Because when we are able to find time, at that time we can utilize that time on the things that actually matters for us, including our health. So we are going to discuss that in today's podcast. So if you who are someone who is struggling to find time for your health, or if you who are someone who want to get better at your productivity game and better at utilizing your time on the right things that matter to you, then make sure to listen to this podcast. Enjoy. Friends, this book 4-Hour Workweek is a very popular book when it comes to productivity. Now, what I have done in this podcast is I am trying to give you a perspective of the same book from health standpoint, how you can utilize these productivity strategies to find time for your health. So if we look at the book and if we try to summarize this book, the key idea behind this book is of this DEAL principle. DEAL is an acronym that stands for definition, elimination, automation and liberation, which means if we are able to define what are our priorities, at the same time if we are able to define where all the time wasters exist, and if we are able to eliminate those time wasters, and when we are able to bring automation in life, we can achieve liberation, right? Liberation of time, liberation of doing things that actually matters for us when it comes to holistic life wellness. Eventually our life is not only about being healthy. Eventually our life is a combination of well-being that we achieve through different areas of our lifestyle. It could be financial, it could be relationships, it could be your career, it could be your health and your mental well-being. All of these factors when combined gives us a holistic life, a life which is fulfilling. Because at the end of the day, every one of us has this core desire, feel or stay excited. So let's dive into the learnings or else teachings from this book. In this part of the video, we are going to talk about the first letter, the D, from the deal principle, which stands for definition. Now, according to Tim Ferriss, what he says is our life or as our actions determines our thoughts. Whatever we say doesn't matter, but what we do matters. So if you want to distinct yourself from other, if you want to be more successful than other, then your action will determine that. So make sure to have the right action as your mindsets, right? So what he asks us is to change the perspective and change the mindset towards some basic things of our life. So he has shared some of the phrases and he has proposed to change those phrases in a different way, which changes our mindset. So let me read out those phrases for you. So the number one phrase that he says is to work for yourself. Now this is a common notion that we all have. Everybody has this dream, that desire that I want to work for myself. And what he proposes is, instead of that, have this notion to have other work for you. Now what do I mean? Now if we see our life, there are a lot of tasks that we have to do as our responsibility which we don't want to do. But if we are able to identify and if we are able to see, we are constantly running away from these tasks. We don't like doing this task, and that's why we develop this inner desire to work for ourselves. Majority of time when we are doing a job, or as even for entrepreneurs or people who are running their own businesses, they somewhere start this because of this deep desire of working for ourselves. But when we start working for ourselves, at the same time, we are at the end of the day, we are working and our time actually goes more on the tasks that are supposed to be done all over the tasks that we want to do. So instead of that, what if we turn this notion into the other mindset, or I'll say other perspective, which says to have other people work for us. Now when we are having other people working for us, what eventually lands up is we get more time, and that's why delegation helps. So if we find it difficult to get time, delegation is one important way through which we can find time for ourselves. The second phrase that he shares here is to work when you want. Now again, a lot of us have this notion that I want to work at my will. I want to work at the time which I prefer for myself. Now this also could be self-limiting, because at the end of the day you are working, so you are required to be present to work. If you are not there, then that work is not going to happen. So eventually what will happen, you will be still in that trap of working. So how to break this notion? Now here the idea is to prevent work for the work's sake. Now many a times we feel that when we are working, at that time we are productive, but staying busy is not being productive. The idea here is not to work just for the work's sake, but to work on the right things and eliminate the wrong things. So for that, the perspective needs to be changed, and the new perspective should be to prevent work for work's sake and to do minimum necessary for the maximum effect. So here again he emphasizes on the choices of doing things which are only important and let go of other things. Very simple. Food. This is a very common thing that we have got. We eat food just for eating sake sometimes. We just feel like eating. Actually, we are not needing that at that time for the nutritional purpose. So, if we change that perspective and say, we are going to eat to nourish our body, then when you are shifting that mindset internally, that's the time you would be able to make healthy choices when it comes to food. Now, similarly, the another phrase that he proposes is to retire early or young. Now, many people have this thing that when I will be retired, at that time I'll be able to find time for myself. I would be able to do things that will make me healthy. But instead of that, what if we choose to retire? What if we choose not to take retirement from the work, but to plan for mini retirements? So here the idea is to work in sprints, and idea of taking mini breaks over a long-term vacation. With that, you can sustain yourself for a long period of time. You can find time for yourself for the things that you actually want, and you can still maintain working towards your goal. The next phrase that he talks about here is to buy all things to have it all. Now, again, what does this mean? Many a times we think that we need certain facilities, and that's the time we would be able to work towards our health. We need those gym memberships, we need some trainer, and then only it would be possible for us to work out. But that's not a reality sometimes. We need to again shift the mindset here and say to do all things you want to do and be all things you want to be, they are either means or bonuses, but not the focus. So your focus should be the outcome that you want out of it, but not the so your focus should be the outcome and not the means to get that. So your treadmill, your gym membership, or getting a trainer is the means to reach out to your goal, but not the goal itself. So don't wait for that time to get that trainer, that right membership to start working out. If you want to work out, start immediately taking action by taking small steps. Next phrase that he shares is to be the boss instead of employee, to be the in charge. Now, many a times we are fed up of our managers and we think that these managers in our life are the source of our inefficiency, are the source of the blockages that we are having in finding time for ourselves. But if we change the perspective from here and say that I want to be the owner of my own life and I am going to design my life in a way where I can make the right choices, then you can start working towards it. Similarly, many people have this blockage from money. They feel that when I'll have money, at that time I would be able to buy good things for myself. Healthier choices would be easy for me to make. But it's not important to have ton of money, but the idea is to have sufficient money and continuous cash flow so that you can divide your money, your expenses on the right parts of your life, and you can have a small budget aside kept only for your health priorities. The next idea is to have more. This is again a common belief that we have. The more I have, the better it is. The more access that I have got to different professionals, the easier it would be for me to work towards my health. It's not necessary again. Tim Ferriss asks here to change the mindset here as well and have another perspective and say that it's not important to have more, but it's more important to have the things that are important for you, to have good quality and less clutter. If we see our lifestyle as well, and if again we go back to the food analogy, you just imagine and see how much quantity of calories you are consuming, and these calories, are they healthy or not? Majority of time whenever we are binge eating, we end up eating calories which are not required for the body and are also not going to give any nourishment for our body. So the idea is to remove the clutter from the food plate, the food things that we are eating across the day. Choose less but choose quality. These are the choices. This will make us to get better health related outcomes. That takes me to the next point. To reach to that big payoff or other pot of gold. Many times people wait for the time where they will be super rich, ultra rich, and that would be the time where they will have so many people, dietitian will be there will be a personal doctor, there will be a personal trainer, everybody will be there. Till that time I have to keep on logging myself, working hard so that I can achieve. But here the Tim Ferriss is giving us another idea. Rather than waiting for that pot of gold, why not to find sources of consistent income, consistent cash flows, so that you can spare a very small amount of money on choosing the right tasks that are required for health choices. That takes me to the next point to discuss here, and that is to have freedom from doing that which you dislike. Now, many times we don't like to do certain things and we feel obliged doing those things. It could be paperwork that you have to do in your office, some documentation task, it could be anything, right? And we feel that those are time suckers, and due to that we are not able to do things that are mattering to us. Solution to this problem is to make again choices, find the right things that are important and trying to declutter or eliminate or delegate the things that doesn't matter. So with this mindset shift, you would be able to work towards your goal, your health goal. Now, when it comes to definition means defining where your life is going, where all is the time which you are spending, which is not required, and how you fill that gap with doing the things that are majority of time important, right? So what he gave is definition. So first define your life, what exactly you want. Here the idea is to have more time and more freedom, financial freedom, so that you can utilize this time and this financial freedom on making right choices. So here he also shared some tips, some ways with which we can do that. Let me talk it out to you. So the first thing here he says is to make right choices. Your choices will make or break your entire life. So at first place, define what is the right choice for you and start taking those action towards it. So what you do, when you do, where you do, and with whom you do matters. So let's say, for example, if you have decided that you want to stay physically active, if you find this choice, or if you are able to define that, okay, I'm going to spend 1 hour every day in walking, and I'm going to finish 15,000 steps every single day for walking, that's the choice that you have made. But this definition itself is not going to solve. You have to also make a decision what time you would be doing this, at what place you would be doing it, and with whom you will be going for this walks. When you are able to be clear, when you are clear with these all answers, it would be easy for you to take those steps. So make right choices and start executing them by self-reflecting and answering the important questions to yourself. Second thing that he says is about less is more principle. Here also, he emphasizes on removing clutter from the life. A simple way to do that is first figure out, write down, brain dump where all your time is being spent on a day-to-day basis. If you are able to jot it down and track your common time wasters, you will find a pattern, and then try to break those patterns and fill those time with the right task that you want to do. Again here, let's talk about the walking example. Let's say if you sleep late at night, it's very obvious that you are going to rise late as well. So if you are able to track this pattern that you are having an inconsistent sleep timings, then you are tend to sleep late and you are tend to wake up late, then it would be difficult for you to find time for walking. So if you are able to understand that, then you would be able to remove the clutter, the unimportant tasks that you are doing at night, and you would be able to fix your sleep times. When you would be able to fix your sleep times, obviously you would be able to wake up early, and when you will be able to wake up early, you would be able to find time for your walks. A simple example, but very effective one. The next thing that he shares here is timing is never right. So don't wait for the right time to come. Start immediately. Take shabby steps. It's not necessary that you would be perfect on day one, but the idea here is to be consistent even though if you are not succeeding. Let's say 1, 2, 3 days you are not able to wake up early despite sleeping early at night. That's okay, but at least you have started fixing your times. At least you have started being consistent with the time at which you go to bed, right? That will slowly start showing you results. So don't wait for that right time to come. Don't wait for that new job to acquire that will give you more time freedom. Time freedom will never come until unless you take actions to get that time freedom. The next thing that he here shares is emphasize on your strengths and not weaknesses. Here what he says is it's important to see what kind of person you are, and you can know that only by introspection. Let's say if you are productive at the morning hours, then spend more time in the mornings for your important task and keep the unimportant task in the later part of the day. So whatever things that requires deep work, you can finish that in the morning, and for breaks you can go for your walks. That's also equally possible for you. At the end of the day, here the idea is not to achieve perfection but to achieve consistency. The next thing here he says is money is not the solution. Don't wait big money for you to come to take healthy choices. Money is not the solution. It's the clarity of thoughts, the actions that you want to take. So define your action and start taking them by making small changes. Through that, you will be able to achieve better health results than others. Many a times, he says, is that stress or fear of stress is also one of the source which prevents people from taking massive action. Many people fear that if I am not getting adequate sleep, if I am working out more, it might damage my body. Now, there is a difference between stress and eustress. What does that mean? Now, to an extent, stress is good for our body and we need certain level of stress, but stress in excess is not good. So at first place, it's important to learn to differentiate between a good stress and bad stress, and always try to be in that zone of good stress, because that will push your limits and that will allow you to achieve results that were before unimaginable for you. The next common challenge that people face is fear or paralysis of failure. Many a times people who are trying to lose weight start working out, start dieting, or else start cutting down their calories, but whenever they don't see the results, they give up soon. The reason here is the fear of failure. Many a times before we are trying to do something new, we have a lot of fear of failure. We have so many preconceived notion that we land up into analysis paralysis, due to which we are not able to take massive action. Now same thing applies to our career, but same thing also applies to our health and well-being. So it's important to take guidance, but at the same time don't analyze things so much that you land up making no actions, because action is required to achieve any results that we want. And the last point that he says is doing unrealistic is easier than doing realistic things. Now we are surrounded by people who are chasing realistic goals. Now whenever it comes to unrealistic things, people start showing doubts, people start showing fears, but there are very less people who will take unrealistic choices and options. But these unrealistic choices and options can give you massive results if you want. So choose for the work patterns, choose for the type of actions that you are taking to achieve unrealistic goals. Here what do he mean is that by finding work ways which not many people are doing, you can create a skill set for yourself which can give you lot of financial freedom, lot of work related freedom, and that will give you lot of time to work on your health. So it's okay to set unrealistic goals for yourself and work towards it, because even though if you have to work for a small period of time harder, but eventually it will give you some time in future, because that will help you to charge more. When you will be able to charge more, you will be able to spend less time on the hard work and you will be able to make more money. And when you will be making more money, you will have more time for yourself, because then you can delegate it to others. Make sense? Alright, let's move on to the second part of the video where we are going to talk about elimination. Let's move on and see and talk about elimination. So when you have to achieve productive results or productivity as a goal, then it's not only about definition, but now it's important to eliminate the things which we have defined unnecessary in life. So elimination, according to Tim Ferriss, is one of the important aspects to stay productive. Learning to say no to most of the thing is an art, which not everyone has the ability to do. So now when you have determined what you want to do, it's time to determine what you don't want to do in your life, right? So if you see your life design, right, it's about choices, right? And when it comes to choice, there are a lot of tasks that are associated with it which you don't want to do, and that's why delegation helps, right? But before delegation, there's a very important step of definition itself, of defining what are the tasks that you can delegate or eliminate completely. So we are going to do that exercise in this video. So here Tim Ferriss says that there are two important things that you should keep in mind. Number one, doing something unimportant well doesn't mean that it is important. And the second thing he says here is requiring a lot of time doesn't mean that that thing is important. Now, if we look at our current lifestyle, you can introspect for yourself as well. A lot of things that you are doing and you are spending your time doing that actually is not going to give you a very massive output, right? There it could be some random emails that you are making, or else if you are working on a presentation, the meetings that you go ahead with. There are so many aspects in our life where we spend a lot of time, but the outcome is very less. So the idea here when it comes to elimination is to eliminate those things by first figuring it out or finding it out. So here Tim Ferriss asks us to remember this point. 80% of results comes as an output of 20% of effort. So what if we maximize on this 20% so that we can achieve 100% of result? So here Tim Ferriss is asking us to do certain steps. These steps are: number one, limit the task only to the ones that are important and shorter your work time as much as possible. So in order to do this, the first thing that he is asking us to do is to find the critical task. What are the critical tasks that requires your presence, your effort the most, and what are the tasks that can be either delegated or eliminated completely? It's important to first figure that out. Secondly, contribute the most productive hours of your day on doing the tasks that are most important and most critical, and try to delegate it to other people and remove the task completely, and allot these tasks in a chronological order throughout the day. So for example, what according to Tim Ferriss he says is, all the most important tasks, critical tasks that are going to give you long-term results, try to finish them before 11 a.m. in the morning itself, the most productive hours of the day, because the energy levels are high and things are better. So taking some steps like work from home opportunities, taking some steps like finding a house near your workplace will save a lot of travel time for you, so that you can focus on the critical task in the morning itself. Let's say if learning is a very major part of your work, or you need to upgrade yourself constantly when it comes to learning part, then make sure that the early morning hours before even your work day starts, spend that time on that learning, because that's the time which will be dedicated to the most critical one. Let's say if walking is something, or doing exercise is something that is very critical for you, then also choose to do that thing the first thing in the morning, because once you are done that, your entire day is set for the rest of the task. It could be anything, but here you need to find out your priorities and allot the most important hours of the day, of mornings mostly, to the critical task that you have to go. Then in the second chronological order, you can do the task which you can delegate. So here, setting up meetings with clear agendas, clear timelines, allot the task to the team members, whoever you have got, so that you know you have delegated the things, and remove ruthlessly the tasks which actually don't require your presence. Here, by doing analysis, you can figure out, can this task be replaced by me? And also by giving a lot of trainings, a lot of independence, a lot of responsibilities to the team members, you can eliminate the task slowly in future. Again, here one easy way to do these things, or else to stay consistent with these practices, Tim Ferriss gives us two ideas. Number one, every 3 hours, ask this question to yourself: the task that I am doing right now, is it important enough to spend this much time on it? Second question to ask yourself is, am I inverting things to avoid the most important, or else am I inventing things to avoid the most important? Many a times we just try to fill up times by doing unimportant things that pleases us and makes us feel that we are busy. Make sure not to fall into that trap, and you can do that only by asking the self-introspecting questions again and again to yourself. Third tip that Tim Ferriss gives here is, stop asking for opinions, but another important tip that Tim Ferriss shares here is, stop asking for opinions and start proposing solutions. Now, you might say no on certain things, or you might get answer as no, but it's okay, but still you try. For example, let's say if you want to take a nap break at your workplace for your well-being. Instead of asking for an opinion to your boss or your manager, what if you go and propose this to your boss, that I want to take a nap of 30 minutes in my work. What if I finish all the critical tasks of the day before 12, and then post lunch I take this half an hour break? Then it's very much high chances existing for you to get that permission. But if you go and ask for an opinion that, I want to spend some free time for myself during the work, you will only end up getting opinions, but no actions will happen there. The next and the most important tip which Tim Ferriss shares here is to practice low information diet. Here he is suggesting to go for multiple social media fast every month. Now, we are consuming so much of content every single day, which is not only the source of stress, but also the source of time loss. We, unfortunately, without realizing, spend hours and hours in social media or else consuming content of some or other form. That hours can be actually utilized on things that are important for your health and well-being. So try to go for social media fast at least once a month. That will allow you to detach yourself from that zone of distress and will allow you to rephrase your body, to reframe, to reset your mindset as well. Using slow media diet allows you to do multiple things. At the same time, he also suggests us to practice certain methods. For example, defining certain time of the day only for checking the social medias. So let's say, if instead of checking your emails as your first task after getting up, what if you start checking your email only after you finish your meditation or else your exercise? That will act as a motivation for you to finish your exercise, because that will be your reward of checking social media. So these are certain ways, when you add it up, it adds up to your productivity. Also, whenever you are consuming a content, try to take a pause and ask yourself that the content that I'm consuming right now, is it going to help me in any ways? Is it going to add value in my life anyways? If yes, then go ahead, and if no, then immediately eliminate those areas. Here, Tim Ferriss is asking us to also say no to all the time consumers and time wasters. There are so many friends, unnecessary meetings, and so many tasks, repetitive tasks, which can actually be automated, or you don't need to do it again and again. Try to say no to these tasks and eliminate and give these tasks to others. This will allow you to stay in control of your time. And last but not the least, what he says is to batch your time. Yes, if you are able to do similar task in one set of time, then you would be able to accomplish a lot. So let's say if you have to do anything that is related to your health, let's say you want to work out and you want to do meditation, as well as you want to combine that with some cardio activity or yoga, try to combine all of those three things together in the morning slots or evening slots, wherever you are planning it to do. Similarly, if you are there to answer emails, batch the task of answering emails all at one go. You would be able to save a lot of time in doing these tasks, way more than what you were doing abruptly or in a very scattered manner. Now, this was all about elimination. Now, let's talk about automation. Now, we are living in an era of technological advancement. You name the task and there is an automation tool that is present right now. Now, we are living in a phase where AI is so much powerful that you don't even need to type big essays, letters or emails. There are so many automation tools that are there to help you to do that. So here, Tim Ferriss advises us to automate our life as much as possible. It could be defined towards the mundane task of writing emails, sending messages, or creating a blog post. It could be anything, but saving time for the most important and the most creative task that's important for you. So using automation tool at its max, eliminating tasks that are required, outsourcing things to others so that you can find time for yourself, and having a consistent cash flow and time for yourself so that you can utilize this time on the things where your 100% attention is required. When you are able to do that, then that automation tool will, or else automated life will find time for you for liberation. So that gives, or that takes me to the last point of the deal system, and that is liberation. At the end of the day, what is our goal? Our goal is to live a life that is full of excitement and happiness, and to have freedom to do things that we actually or genuinely want to do. And for that, we need liberation. Liberation from those mundane tasks that we do every single day. Liberation from running behind money. Liberation from running behind the people that doesn't matter to us. And that liberation can come by taking few actions. These actions are setting right goals. defining the right systems and processes that you want to follow, eliminating the unnecessary and unclutter, and at the same time automating things. But at the same time, in order to liberate, you have to design your life in a way where, number one, you can work whenever you want to do and from wherever you want to do. So find skill set, find opportunities, find ways with which you can create that freedom for yourself. The second thing that gives liberation in life is being able to take mini retirements over a big break. So finding this ability to go for small vacations, small breaks multiple times in a year allows you to do that system reset for yourself so that you can work back with lot more creativity, lot more focus. Now here, Tim Ferriss is also advising us to find liberation from our materialistic addiction. If we look at our life, so many people are running behind the things which are materialistic and which will be source of happiness only for a short period of time. So these materialistic addictions are the source of all the bondages that we have got. Let's say if we want a car and you end up buying that car because you wanted it, but that EMIs that you have to pay will not allow you to leave that high paying job, which sucks, right? So that's the problem with material bondage. So make sure to have those dreams. It's okay to have those dreams, but don't align those dreams to on the cost of your liberation. That's what here he is trying to explain. That's why it's okay to have dreams, but not attachment, so that you can work towards these goals with a detached mindset or mind frame. Now, when you are liberated, here there is one thing that we also need to be cautious about. Let's say you were able to stay 100% productive. Let's say you were able to eliminate all the unimportant things that were there in your life. Your life has become very productive. You have got good cash flow. You are not attached to any materialistic desire. But now you have got that free time. But that free time can also be the source of negative thoughts. It could be the source of self-doubts and those neurotic things. You must have seen there are so many rich people. They have got all the time in the world. They have got all the money that they need in the world, but still they are not happy. Why is it so? The reason here is that empty time which you have got needs to be fulfilled by something which is more purposeful, more meaningful. And that's why purpose in life is that important. It's very important to figure out what is that core calling, that purpose of your life. What is that one thing for which you are born? What is that one thing that you need to give it back to the society or else to the world? So it's not only about making right choices and finding time and good source of income that gives you freedom from the time and gives you that entire motivation to stay healthy and work towards it. But at the same time, having that purpose is also important, because that purpose will be your motivation to stay healthy. That purpose will be your motivation to work. That purpose will be the motivation to stay creative. So that's the purpose that we need to fulfill. And that's why it is important to design a life rather than just live life in a flow. So here, Tim Ferriss leaves us with some questions that we need to ask us again. Let me read it out for you. So here Tim Ferriss is telling that time without attention is worthless. So here Tim Ferriss is leaving us with one core idea and some questions that we should introspect to make sure to figure out that purpose also of our life. What he says is that time is worthless without attention. So value attention over time. And to do that, you need to ask these questions to yourself. Number one, what is one goal, if completed, will change life for you forever? What is the most urgent thing that right now you must do or should do? Can you let that urgent fail even for a day to get to that next milestone of your potential life-changing task? And fourth thing that he asks us to introspect is, what's been one to-do list or to-do task that you have been wanting to do from longest period of time, but yet you have not been able to do that? Start with it. Start doing it as the first thing in the day. Then you would be able to automatically find time for all the other things that you want to do. So figure that out and make sure that when you are doing this, include your health priorities as well. It's the productivity that gives you the liberation of the time, and it's the liberation of the time that gives you to focus on your health. So on that note, this was the end of this podcast. I hope you are finding this informations, this ideas valuable. Please share your feedbacks on these so that we can improvise our content and we can design better content for you. On that note, I'll end this video here and I'll see you in another video. Thank you.